Not every person who says, "Let me pray for you," is necessarily speaking God's will over your life. That sounds uncomfortable. But what if I told you that some of the biggest spiritual mistakes believers make happen with their eyes closed and their guard down? Most Christians are careful about who they date, careful about who they listen to, careful about who they trust with money. But when someone places a hand on their shoulder and says, "Can I pray for you?" they immediately lower every spiritual defense. And that is exactly why this message matters, because the Bible never tells us to blindly receive everything that sounds spiritual. In fact, 1 John 4:1 says, "Dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God." Notice that. Test first, receive later. Today, we're exposing 5 people you should think twice about allowing to pray over you. And trust me, the last one may surprise you. First, be careful of the person who lives comfortably in ongoing sin. Nobody is perfect. We all fall short. But there is a difference between struggling against sin and surrendering to it. Proverbs 28:9 says, "If anyone turns a deaf ear to my instruction, even their prayers are detestable." Before we tell you why never allow these people to pray over you, I request you to subscribe the channel and support our really hard-working team members. Our mission is to help people encounter God's truth, break free from hidden guilt, and grow into the peace, purpose, and freedom He has for them. That's serious. If someone refuses God's authority over their own life, why would you trust them to speak over yours? And here's what's scary. Many of these people don't look dangerous. They sound spiritual. They know Bible verses. They may even serve in church, which leads to the second person, the gossip. Have you ever noticed that some people pray beautifully in public but speak poison in private? The same mouth that says, "God bless you," talks about you when you leave the room. James addressed this directly. James 3:10 says, "Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. My brothers and sisters, this should not be." A person's private speech reveals the condition of their heart, and Jesus made it even clearer. Luke 6:45 says, "For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of." If someone constantly tears people down, be careful what you're receiving from them spiritually. But the next type is even more dangerous, because they don't use criticism, they use control. Have you ever heard a prayer that sounded more like an instruction? A prayer that felt like someone was trying to decide your future for you? That's not intercession. That's manipulation dressed up as spirituality. God's Spirit leads. He doesn't control. Galatians 5:1 says, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free." If a prayer leaves you feeling trapped, pressured, or emotionally controlled, pay attention. God's voice brings conviction. Manipulation brings bondage. Now, before we continue, let me say something important. This message is not about becoming suspicious of everyone. It's about becoming discerning. There's a difference, and that's where many believers get confused. Now, here's the fourth person, someone who knows about God but doesn't actually know Him. Jesus warned us about this. Matthew 7:23 says, "I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers." Notice, He didn't say they never knew about Him. He said He never knew them. Relationship matters. Titles don't impress heaven. Platforms don't impress heaven. Real intimacy with God does. And this next verse proves it. John 15:5 says, "Apart from me, you can do nothing." Without genuine connection to Christ, spiritual authority becomes empty words. Now, we're at the final person, and honestly, this may be the most common one, the prideful prayer. The person more concerned with being seen than being used by God. Jesus exposed this behavior. Matthew 6:5 says, "Do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by others. Sometimes the prayer sounds impressive, but heaven sees the motive. And God always looks deeper than people do. 1 Samuel 16:7 says, "People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." So what should you do? Stop receiving prayer? Absolutely not. Here's the hope. God has surrounded his people with faithful believers whose prayers carry incredible power. James 5:16 says, "The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective." And when God sends the right people into your life, their prayers can strengthen your faith, encourage your heart, and help carry you through battles you could never win alone. So don't become fearful, become discerning. Before someone speaks over your life, ask the Holy Spirit for wisdom, because Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." The goal isn't paranoia, the goal is protection, not suspicion, discernment. And when you walk with discernment, you'll recognize the voices God has truly sent to bless your life.